Cutter Richie at the rim. Yes. The score. Quick spin on Dessou and right to the rim, up and in.
Dallin Hall gets all the way to the basket. Nobody stopped the ball.
Signed an opening to the free throw lane. Will duck in, fade away. Tough shot, but he scores it. Jackson Robinson.
BYU going to need to make a few of those tough shots tonight to handle the likes of Baylor. We are live in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton alongside Jerem Jordan. And joining us now to more adequately preview the Bears and Cougars is ESPN college basketball insider and analyst Sean Farnham. Sean, welcome back to the show. It is game day, another ranked matchup for BYU. And the Cougars, they're still ranked, number 25. Sean, after losing at Oklahoma State, do you still feel like BYU deserves to be in the top 25?
Okay, first and foremost, you guys had Billis on yesterday. like, are you cheating on me? Like, I thought we had something special here, and then I show up and I'm sitting here listening, and you guys like, well, we had the great Jay Billis on yesterday. Well, whoa,
is there an adjective there?
Jay Billis. I'm just wondering. I thought this was, an exclusive relationship that we had together. And now it seems like you guys have stepped outside the relationship to bring in Jay Billis.
Hey, listen,
here's the thing. We have 5 days a week to cover, okay? Yeah. We got a lot of content.
Your good friend Roxy Bernstein was trying to crack into today's lineup, too.
No,
and
we were Roxy is not allowed, period. Like, no chance does Roxy Bernstein get to make an appearance. You guys can listen to him for 2 hours tonight on air.
It's true.
You don't need to listen to him this morning.
It's true.
All right, so to your question, did they deserve to be ranked in the top 25? Off the entirety of the season, you would say yes. Off the loss by itself as a standalone loss this late in the season, with what they have coming up in the schedule, I think the days in the top 25 could be numbered for BYU.
I'm weirded out by the bedstand back there, the XOX. It's just like, it's very different. It's not as nice as the one you had last week in Bristol. I don't know where you are today, but it's just kind of weird.
I mean, the room's a little messy. It is just what it is. It's the Renaissance in Walnut Creek as I get ready for my game tonight. I'm sorry that the background of my hotel isn't appeasing to you.
Yeah.
I will strive to be better. Now I'm adjusting my camera shot, and it's probably not good for you.
Jay Billis would never.
Oh.
Yeah, well, he didn't even get on the phone. He didn't even get on the Zoom. He just got on a phone.
That is a great point, Sean.
Well
That's
played,
a great
Sean.
point.
If this were around the horn, you'd get a point.
He didn't want to have to do his hair in the morning, so that's why he didn't want to jump on with you guys. So that's probably he didn't jump on.
That's 2 points. Okay, let's talk about this game. BYU comes in they've been struggling on defense. Second half against Kansas State and UCF, those teams almost come back and win. BYU does not play good defense against Oklahoma State. They score a Big 12 high, 93 points. Points per possession off the charts, 1.4. It was crazy. In comes the best offense in the Big 12 in Baylor. How does BYU slow down Baylor, and can they do it suddenly after the last 3 games struggling on that end?
Listen, I think if you go back to the game against Oklahoma State, the amount of disappointment I have at the defensive end of the floor in BYU cannot be understated. You cannot allow Oklahoma State to shoot almost 60% from the field. And then you're going against a team like Baylor tonight who can really get going offensively. That would be a massive concern. I think, if you leave that game on over the weekend on Saturday and you have any concerns about anything moving forward, it is about the defense. And I would have hammered home the defense. I'm not worried about the shooting. The shooting will come and go. There's 2 areas that I looked at, and we've talked about this before, is the ability to score in other areas. When BYU has struggled from 3 over the last couple of games, you guys mentioned in the previous segment, averaging 8 made 3-pointers over the last 4 games. That's great. But what have they also been averaging? A ton of points at the free throw line. What did they not do over the course of the weekend on Saturday? Get to the free throw line. They were 13 of 15 from the free throw line. Well, you got to get there more. And that comes with a certain level of aggressiveness. And I think the team lacked aggressiveness at both ends of the floor. They did not make themselves felt at either end of the floor on Saturday, and that's inexcusable when you're in the Big 12, because the one thing that and you watched last night's game between Iowa State and Houston, which was a rock fight for most of the game, but it was physical and it's defensive minded. And when you go to the Big 12, there's different styles of play in every conference, right? And so you can kind of say, like, hey, it's physical, it's defensive minded. That's what the Big 12 is. And the wear and the grind of that physically and mentally can get to you. What I question right now with this BYU team is, has the grind of having to step up every single game and play against a very strong, physically imposing team, has that worn on this group? Because what that usually shows up is in your legs. And so if your three-point shot isn't falling, it's not because your release. It's probably not because the quality of the three-point shot you're getting, even though in some cases it definitely would be. It usually goes to your legs late in the season. Defensively, can you get in a stance and can you defend and make yourself be felt physically at the defensive end of the floor? What does that also rely upon? Your legs. So right now the challenge is the recovery time in between games. What are they doing to recover? 2 is mentally and physically, are you dialed in for this stretch run? Because the schedule that's upcoming is a gauntlet of all gauntlets. There's not an easy game on the schedule until you play Oklahoma State again. And Oklahoma State, as we just saw, scored at will against BYU's defense. I mean, but Baylor, tough. At Kansas State, because it's at Kansas State, becomes really difficult. At Kansas, nobody wins, right? Nobody wins at Kansas. You got TCU, an old, experienced team coming into your building on March 2nd. Iowa State, going to Iowa State and trying to win. Again, a place that nobody goes and wins. And then you've got Oklahoma State. So now all of a sudden you look at the remaining schedule and you're like, okay, so we should have one surefire win there. That's it. Nothing else is guaranteed. And so now it's about a game approach tonight, 40 minutes. All right. Don't worry about the offense, because I'll get to that in a second. But defensively, can you be disruptive? And I think that the focal point for me defensively, and I've called a Baylor game this year. I did the triple overtime game that they lost that you mentioned, Jerem, in the last segment. But they lost that game to TCU. But offensively, Ray J. Dennis is the playmaker. He's the guy that initiates the offense. So you have to be there at the point of attack. You cannot allow him to see the floor, have space to deliver passes. In particular, his relationship with Jacoby Walter and sets him up for a lot of easy looks, whether it's the three-point shot or that drive. And on Jacoby Walter, there's 2 things he's going to do. He's going to hit the wide open 3. If you're not attached on the catch, and you're doing a hard closeout because your coach has said, hey, this guy's a shooter, and you run at him, that's when he's blowing by you and he's getting a straight lane drive. So you can ill afford to close out hard at the defensive end of the floor to Jacoby Walter. And then the third guy to me is Yves Missi, who Billis referenced.
Yeah.
Missi's going to be a first-round pick. 7 feet tall. He can catch the ball above the elbow. He can rip and attack. He finishes well above the rim. He gets offensive rebounds and putbacks. He does a great job in transition, pinning and sealing early, which means the interior of BYU has to meet him up the line. That means a step inside the free throw line, you're making your initial contact, and you're not letting him drive you back deep in the paint. Because if you do that, he becomes far less successful. And I think if you do those 3 things and then finish it off, obviously, with a rebound, you're in a really good position defensively tonight if you're BYU. Now, on the other end of the floor, I'm less worried about BYU's offense tonight because Baylor's not a very good defensive team. Historically, Baylor has been a really good and disruptive defensive team. They have not been that. In fact, they have gone to a zone recently and have been playing far much more zone than they were earlier in the season. So how you found success against them earlier this year, you're probably not going to see that defense a whole lot in today's game, which means that they go into their zone, which should mean that you have what? Open 3-point shots. If you move the ball, drive the zone, force the zone to collapse a little bit, and then kick to shooters. I'll be interested to see if Scott Drew stays with the zone that he's used recently, because I just think that if you go to that zone and you get a piece of the paint by anybody, you're giving up a wide open 3. And the last thing you want to do for BYU at home is give up wide open 3s from beyond the arc. So I think that you might see more man-to-man, but they've struggled so much in man-to-man that he's had to go to the zone. So that tells you a little bit about where Baylor's defense is.
Sean, would the zone defense that Baylor plays be more accommodating for BYU's 3-point shooting, or are they going to set it up? Oh, okay. So explain that. How will this help BYU's 3-point shooting? Because frankly, the last few games, it hasn't been great for the Cougars, where most of the season they have been great.
Well, I think what it does is it accommodates for a higher quality of shot from the outside. It doesn't obviously guarantee the make, right? So you still got to knock down the shot. But I think the zone and the way that they've played their zone over the last couple of weeks has been much more concerned with drives and people getting a piece of the paint. And so therefore, you're going to ask that zone to now extend out. If you ask that zone to extend out with the number of shooters that BYU has, I think that's where some miscommunications and mistakes can happen. They're fully capable of closing out the three-point shooters even within their zone and being attached and understanding. But again, when you're changing the principles of how you play it to match the personnel of your opponent, that's where your communication has to be really key. And at defense, so much of defense is talk, and it's trust. And so when you don't have faith in your man-to-man and you make the move in the middle of your conference play to go to more zone, that tells me that you're not trusting the communication in the man-to-man. So now you go to zone, and you've played a zone primarily to try to keep teams out of the paint and to try to build in rebounding walls and be able to secure your glass. Now you're going to play an opponent that has 4 shooters out on the floor at all time. Now that stretches that zone out a little bit. Can they maintain the same principles? Are the help side rotations going to be as sharp? If they have to help, are they going to overhelp? And I think that's where they could get in trouble tonight. If they're not communicating, they don't get into those rotations they get caught in rotations, and then that opens up three-point shooting to have wide open looks from the outside.
A thing that Jay Billis didn't give us, because we didn't ask, is the top 5 in the Big 12. And certainly, Sean, last night influenced this. I assume you have Houston at 1 after the big win against Iowa State.
Yes, Houston is the best team in the best conference in the country, contrary to what you may hear from anyone. I look at it and I look at this conference and I watched Houston last night and they grinded. I mean, that was a fight. That was an absolute fight between them and Iowa State. I still have Iowa State at number 2, put Baylor at number 3. Kansas, because of their lack of depth, because they're lacking too much, and you're one guy playing poorly or not hitting their average away from losing a game. And that's where Kansas' margin is so thin. And then I love TCU. TCU's ability to win on the road, TCU's age, their roster is extremely old. They're experienced. They know what they have to do. They have a set style of play of how they want to play. And I think that's a big reason why I have them in at number 5. All right. I think when you look at the Big 12, there's various ways, right? And what's the best conference in the country? And I do think that you could look at the SEC and you can look at the Big 12 and you can say, okay, hey, those are the 2 best conferences in the country right now. The Big East is probably number 3. And when you look at those 2 conferences, the top 2 conferences, what separates them? And to me, it's the ability to have a national championship team. It's not the depth of the conference. It's those teams that are at the top. Who do you believe in most to win a national championship, and how many of those teams can make a run to the Final Four? And if you look at my top 5, I think the top 4 will have a say in the Sweet 16, Elite 8 with the potential to go to a Final Four. I mean, all 4 of them are going to get there, obviously. We know the NCAA tournament this year is going to be crazy. But the defense that Houston plays, their ability to rebound at the offensive end of the floor, it makes them elite, and it allows them to grind out games even when they don't score for 5 minutes. They can still win a game against a top 10 opponent. Iowa State, who turns everybody over, couldn't turn them over last night because Jamal Shedd was so outstanding. You know, and I love Iowa State's defense still. And I think especially when you're not accustomed to their style of play in the NCAA tournament, I think TJ Altenberger's team is going to have a ton of success when it gets to the NCAA tournament because other teams haven't faced defenses like Iowa State plays. And then you go to Baylor and their ability to shoot from the outside. Now, defensively, I'd like to see them be a little bit better, and maybe the zone that has been disruptive, that has allowed them to run and get points off of turnovers. Maybe that's the key to their success the rest of the season. And then I do think Kansas still is in that picture. Those 5 need to play really well. They don't have a bench that they can rely on with any kind of level of consistency. But I would take those 4 teams over the top 4 teams in the SEC right now. As far as, okay, if I take these 4 and you look at those 4 and you say, okay, how many teams do you have the confidence they can make a championship run? Like when I look at the SEC, I think Tennessee can do it. I'm not sold that any of the other 3 teams, whether it be Alabama, whether it's Kentucky, or whether it's Auburn, are going to be able to compete at a national championship Final Four type level. And that's where I look at the difference between them. I think the depth of the SEC is probably a little bit stronger when you get past those 4. But I think that those top 5, those top 4 from the Big 12 all have a chance to advance potentially to a Final Four.
All right, Sean, in 15 seconds, only because I teased it, which of the next 2 games is more winnable for BYU? Is it tonight against Baylor on the home floor of the Marriott Center?
Tonight.
Or at Kansas State? Okay, it's tonight.
Tonight. Going on the road to Manhattan is not easy at all. And the fans will be crazy. The environment will be – they play so much better at home than they do on the road. It's silly. And so I would say the home game clearly going to be the better opportunity to get a win. And as we talked about, Oklahoma State should have been a win for BYU. It wasn't. And now you got to figure out a way to not only win one at home, but ideally sneak one back out on the road. When you lose a game that you should win, even if it's on the road, you got to find somewhere else to win a game that you weren't supposed to win. And I think that's the challenge now for this BYU team. They got to find one that they weren't supposed to get.
Great stuff, Sean.
Just make it at Kansas. Let's go.
Why not?
At Iowa State. Those are easy games.
Always great to have you with us on the show, man. Can't wait to do it again, and hopefully we're discussing a big BYU win, maybe two, next time we get together.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see who you bring on the day before me next week. Is it going to be, Bill Rafferty, Jay Wright, maybe
Greenberg?
I don't know. Seth Greenberg. We'll bring Greenberg on. You guys will get Jay Will. Somebody's coming on. I know it. I just can't wait. Make sure you throw them on right before I come on so I can hear it.
We'll have you in the C block and them in the B block next Tuesday. That'll be great.
There you go. Hey, you guys are the best. Thank you so much. Have a good week.
Thanks, Sean.
Take care. Sean Farnham of ESPN with us on BYU Sports Station. Great breakdown of the game.
Always. He's awesome.